Hey guys, Rominating Reaper here. So yep, it's Saturday. It's a perfect cinema going weather. I'm about to head in to see The Life of Chuck. Yeah, this finally released over here. Really looking forward to it. Been hearing great things. The trailers look really good, and that premise sounds very, very interesting. So I'm hoping that this will be a good one. I'm hoping that this will be good enough to offset the fact that it's not really done all that well. But I have my fingers crossed, especially with Mike Flanagan at the helm. But the only way to find out is to head in, get some snacks, and get seated for The Life of Chuck. So you've got my popcorn here and a Sprite, ready for an uplifting Stephen King story. So, The Life of Chuck. I'm back from seeing it. This is written and directed by Mike Flanagan and is adapted from a Stephen King short story that was published in the If It Bleeds anthology. And obviously, King adaptations outside the horror genre aren't exactly new. You look at stuff like Stand By Me and Shawshank Redemption. But obviously, the last time Flanagan adapted King was, well, Doctor Sleep. So, a wildly different experience to this, but I was curious to see how that combination would fare outside horror in something more light-hearted and uplifting. And clearly it's worked to some extent. This actually won the People's Choice Award at the Toronto International Film Festival, indicating that this is destined to be something of a crowd pleaser. But is this a joyful, audience-pleasing delight? Let's find out. So the film tells the story of the life of an ordinary accountant named Charles Krantz, following 3 different chapters in his life from the end all the way back to the beginning, as his experiences shape how he interacts with the world around him. That's about as detailed a synopsis as you're going to get, because this really is a film that you do kind of have to experience it for yourself to properly understand what it's all about. And honestly, it's a shame that it has not done well, because truly is an absolutely wonderful film. One that is best experienced on the big screen with a crowd. So at its core, it's a very interesting look at the sort of beauty of humanity, whether it be the poetic sense of finality that comes with human mortality, or stopping to enjoy the little things. But above all, what it is a very interesting exploration of how we interact with the world around us shapes the world that we create. Constantly quoting Walt Whitman, with the "we have multitudes." And the film explores all this in a very unique way with its reverse chronological structure, a la Memento. The first act, or the third act in this case, is built around a very likable set of performances from Chiwetel Ejiofor and Karen Gillan. It's a very interesting exploration of how we as a species cope during times of great crisis, balancing out moments of tender humanity with the weighty stakes of the end times. It's very, very interesting stuff, and it had a very strong start to the film. The second act, which is where the majority of Tom Hiddleston's screen time is. Now, obviously, he is very important to the story overall, being that it is Chuck's story. Even when he's not on screen, his presence is felt, but when he is on screen, yeah, he is so damn charming and likable in that, trademark Hiddleston way. And in general, that second act is an absolute joy to watch. A really joyful tribute to the unifying power of music that honestly had me grinning like an absolute idiot the entire time. I had the biggest smile on my face. And then there's the third act, which is a coming of age story that has some kind of interesting turns, perhaps fitting of Flanagan's filmography, that you're definitely best discovering for yourself, because they are very, very interesting. You know, throughout all of this, the film is incredibly charming and features some rather touching, poignant moments. Whether it be a moment involving Matthew Lillard near the start of the film, or a monologue from Mark Hamill about the art of maths. But at the same time, there are also some great laughs to be found here, particularly early on, an exchange about Pornhub. Yeah, trust me on that one. And perhaps fitting of the film's incredibly warm-hearted tone is a color palette that is incredibly vibrant. The film looks great. Of course, filling in the gaps in the narrative where, standard character interactions can't, is a series of voiceover narrations from Nick Offerman. And, it's always a wonderful treat having Nick Offerman stuff, just hearing his wonderful voice. And, yeah, that really rings true here as well as the film's narrator. It perhaps overplays that hand a bit in the third act, or the first act, and I think this is because because the final act is where the first act would would have been in the a normal chronological film. This is where a film would normally be finding its footing, because we're more than into the flow of the film by that point. It does feel a bit like taking a step or two back with the excessive narration, but that final act is plenty charming, enough that it is enough to mostly overcome this issue. And honestly, yeah, by the time the film ended, honestly, I just left this with a huge smile on my face. I absolutely loved this film. Overall, The Life of Chuck is an incredibly joyful experience. It is a charming, poignant, and deeply moving experience. It is a proper crowd pleaser, best seen on the big screen. Out of 10, The Life of Chuck gets a 9. So, let me know down in the comments, have you seen The Life of Chuck? What did you think of it? Of the 3 acts, which one was your favourite? And would you like to see Flanagan and King do more non-horror stuff like this in the future? Let me know all that down in the comments. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're new. And don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload.